Silence is one of the most misunderstood powers in the world. People often mistake it for weakness, for submission, or for lack of confidence. But silence, when used with intention, becomes one of the most divine strategies that God ever gave you. When you are silent, you are not giving up. You are tuning in. You are turning away from the noise of the world to hear the quiet whisper of divine guidance that only comes when the mind is still and the spirit is alert. Every time you step back, every time you resist the urge to respond, argue, or prove yourself, you are showing the universe that you trust something higher than your emotions. You are saying, I believe in timing, not talking. You see, silence is where clarity begins. When you are always reacting, always explaining, always defending, your energy scatters. You begin to live in response to others rather than in alignment with yourself. But when you stay silent, when you slow down and listen, you begin to see things differently. You start hearing your intuition again. You start recognizing what truly matters. The world teaches you to speak up, to fight back, to always be visible. But God's way is different. God said, be still and know that I am God. That isn't just a scripture, that's a principle. It means power doesn't always move loudly. Sometimes it moves quietly, deliberately, beneath the surface where no one sees it. In moments of silence, you learn to separate the voice of fear from the voice of faith. Fear yells, faith whispers. Fear demands proof. Faith trusts the process. That's why silence is sacred, because it's where you learn to recognize which voice is guiding you. And if you pay attention, you'll realize that God never shouts over the noise. He waits for you to quiet down. He waits for you to create space where he can speak into your heart. That's when direction comes. That's when peace comes. That's when the next step becomes clear. So many people lose their focus because they can't handle silence. They want results fast, validation now, applause immediately. But the real growth happens in the unseen, in the quiet, in the moments when no one is watching. Think of a seed. It grows underground before it ever breaks through the soil. The darkness is not punishment, it's preparation. The silence is not rejection, it's development. While the world is busy showing off what it has, you are quietly building something eternal. God hides you for a reason, because not everyone can handle what he's preparing inside you. When you choose silence, you also choose control. You stop allowing the world to pull you in every direction. You stop giving away your energy to arguments, negativity, and distractions. You start moving with purpose. You start realizing that silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you're saving your voice for something that matters. You begin to see that you don't have to announce every move, defend every decision, or explain every phase of your life. People don't have to understand your silence. They just have to witness your transformation when it speaks for itself. In silence, your spirit becomes stronger. You stop depending on people's opinions and start depending on your own conviction. You stop trying to impress and start trying to improve. You start finding peace in solitude rather than comfort in company. The silence becomes your training ground, a place where you strengthen your mind, your focus, and your patience. Every great mind, every spiritual leader, every person who ever transformed their life learned the value of stillness. They learned to listen before they spoke, to observe before they reacted, and to understand before they judged. When God tells you to stay silent, he isn't silencing your voice. He's silencing your distractions. He's removing the noise so you can hear the next instruction clearly. He's protecting you from conversations that could delay your growth. He's teaching you to move differently, not louder, but wiser. The more you practice silence, the more powerful you become internally. You start realizing that your peace is more important than being right. Your growth is more important than being understood. Your alignment is more valuable than your visibility. And once you reach that understanding, silence no longer feels like isolation. It feels like elevation. It becomes the sacred space where you and God communicate without interference. It's where your dreams start to take shape, where your purpose becomes clearer, where your inner strength begins to rise. You stop chasing the world and start attracting what belongs to you. You begin to walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what's meant for you doesn't need to be shouted. It just needs to be received, because silence, when guided by faith, speaks louder than words ever could. Focus is the invisible force that shapes everything in your life. It's not just about what you see with your eyes, but what you hold in your mind. God designed focus as a spiritual filter, a tool to direct your energy toward what truly matters and block out everything that weakens your purpose. When you learn how to focus on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. You start to reclaim your power. You stop scattering your energy across meaningless conversations, temporary distractions, and people who are not walking in the same direction as your destiny. You begin to see that what you constantly think about, speak about, and give attention to becomes the foundation of your reality. Every thought you hold is a seed. Focus is the sunlight that decides which seed grows. If your attention stays on fear, you'll feed fear until it becomes your truth. But if your attention stays on faith, on progress, on the vision God placed inside you, that's what begins to expand. Most people don't realize they are creating chaos, not because life is against them, but because their focus is divided. They want success, but they keep meditating on failure. They want peace, but they feed anxiety. They want breakthrough, but they focus on the problem more than the solution. The law is simple. Energy flows where attention goes. What you focus on multiplies. That's why God tells you to focus on yourself, because yourself is where his work begins. You can't fix the world until you fix your thoughts. You can't heal relationships until you heal your spirit. You can't move forward until your inner direction is clear. Every time you choose to bring your focus inward to your growth, your mindset, your spiritual connection, you activate the divine process of transformation. And here's the truth. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every noise deserves your reaction. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most with precision and peace. When you focus on yourself, you begin to see the difference between movement and progress. The world is full of people moving, running, chasing, reacting, but very few are progressing. Movement without focus is just noise, but a focused soul can move mountains quietly. You start to operate from intention rather than impulse. You no longer wake up just to survive the day. You wake up to build something with meaning. And as you focus deeper on your inner growth, your outer world starts to shift automatically. You attract new people, new opportunities, and new levels of peace because your vibration has changed. Focus also means discipline. It means saying no to the good so you can say yes to the great. It means turning off distractions, setting boundaries, and protecting your mind from unnecessary noise. The moment you begin to take your attention seriously, your life starts to reorganize itself. You'll notice that certain things lose their power over you. Arguments, comparisons, negativity, they simply stop mattering. Because when you are focused, you realize how expensive your energy really is. You understand that every thought you entertain is an investment in your future. And you begin to choose wisely. You can't focus on yourself and stay the same. Real focus transforms. It rewires the way you think. It forces you to take responsibility for your emotions, your habits, your choices. It reminds you that everything you want already exists, but you must align your mind to it. God doesn't give you focus for free. He gives you situations that test it. Distractions come. Temptations appear. Opinions surround you, not to break you, but to strengthen your ability to stay centered. That's how he builds discipline. Every time you refuse to lose focus, you are proving that you trust the process more than the pressure. When your focus is clean, your direction becomes divine. You stop asking for signs because you start seeing them everywhere. You stop forcing doors to open because you understand that what's meant for you can't be missed. Focus connects you to flow, that effortless rhythm where everything begins to align naturally. And the more you stay consistent with your focus, the quieter your spirit becomes. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to compare your timing. You simply do the work. Stay grounded and watch how God multiplies what you've been nurturing in silence. Focus isn't just mental, it's spiritual alignment. It's deciding every day that your energy will serve your purpose, not your distractions. It's protecting your vision even when no one understands it. It's trusting that every moment you spend focused on your growth is moving you closer to the life God designed for you. When you master that, you begin to live intentionally. You begin to carry peace wherever you go. Because your attention is anchored in purpose, not chaos. And slowly, without even realizing it, your focused energy starts to create results so powerful that words can't explain them. They can only be witnessed. Elevation always requires isolation. It's one of the most challenging, yet divine truths you'll ever experience on your journey of growth. When God decides to elevate you, he doesn't start by adding more people or noise to your life. He starts by removing them. He begins to separate you from the environments, relationships, and patterns that no longer align with where you're going. That's why the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. Isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. It's God's way of clearing space around you so he can work within you. Most people misunderstand this season because it feels lonely. It feels like rejection. It feels like being forgotten. But in reality, isolation is the sacred classroom where you learn lessons that the crowd could never teach you. When you are surrounded by too many voices, you lose the ability to hear your own. And when you can't hear your own voice, you can't hear God's either. That's why he sometimes takes you through seasons of silence, where familiar people fade and distractions dissolve. He wants you to stop looking outward for validation and start looking inward for direction. It's in isolation that your identity begins to take shape. You start learning who you truly are without the influence of others' expectations. You stop living to please and start living to align. You realize that solitude is not about being alone. It's about being connected to the highest version of yourself. In the quiet spaces, you begin to see yourself clearly, the strengths, the weaknesses, the patterns you've ignored. You confront your fears without running, your doubts without pretending, your habits without hiding. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in confrontation. And isolation gives you the environment for that confrontation to take place. When God isolates you, he's refining you. He's stripping away the version of you that can't handle where he's taking you. He's breaking old cycles, healing old wounds, and replacing temporary strength with permanent stability. You might feel alone, but you are being rebuilt from the inside out. Every person who ever walked into greatness faced this kind of isolation. It's the quiet before the manifestation, the hidden phase before the recognition. The seed must first be buried in darkness before it ever rises toward the light. The same principle applies to your life. Isolation is the soil that hides your potential while God prepares you to bloom. The world can't see it yet, but something divine is taking place within you. You're developing the resilience, the discipline, the spiritual strength that will sustain you once you reach the next level. The elevation you pray for comes with weight, and isolation is where you build the muscles to carry it. When you begin to understand this, you stop fighting isolation and start embracing it. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start realizing this is happening for me. You start to see how God removes certain people not to hurt you, but to help you grow without their influence. You start to appreciate how he delays certain opportunities, not to deny you, but to ensure you're strong enough to sustain them when they arrive. The silence that once scared you becomes the space that strengthens you. The emptiness that once felt painful becomes the peace that grounds you. Isolation also teaches you emotional independence. You stop relying on external motivation because you find your drive within. You stop craving validation because you learn to validate yourself. You stop chasing connection because you begin to feel connected to something far greater than people. You feel connected to purpose. That's the true blessing of isolation. It detaches you from what's temporary and attaches you to what's eternal. It purifies your motives, clears your mind, and centers your spirit. When you're isolated, you start to notice that not everyone who started with you was meant to finish with you. Some relationships were seasonal, some support systems were situational. And that's okay. Elevation demands that you travel lighter. God removes the unnecessary weight because he knows it will slow you down. He knows that if you carry too much of the past into your future, it will drain the strength you need to climb higher. So he isolates you, not to separate you from love, but to strengthen your ability to love yourself enough to move forward in that sacred stillness. You find the kind of peace that can't be taken away. You stop running after approval because you realize that what's meant for you will always find you. You begin to feel comfortable in your own presence, and that's when real confidence begins to grow. Isolation becomes your training ground where your patience matures, your clarity deepens, and your faith expands. It's where you stop reacting to life and start creating it intentionally. Because once you learn to stand strong in solitude, no crowd, no opinion, no rejection can shake you again. Not everyone deserves access to your process. That's one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn when you begin to grow. Because in the beginning, you want everyone to understand, you want to explain your moves, justify your silence, and make people see what you see. But growth is not a group project. The process of becoming who God created you to be is personal, private, and often misunderstood. When God begins to transform your life, he doesn't need an audience. He doesn't need approval. He doesn't even need applause. What he needs is your obedience, your focus, and your willingness to walk alone for a while. That's why not everyone can come with you. Some people are meant to witness your results, not participate in your rebuilding. When you start changing, the people around you feel it before they understand it. Some will support you, others will question you, and a few will resist you. Not because they're bad, but because your evolution challenges their comfort. You're not who you used to be, and that unsettles those who are attached to your old version. That's why God hides you in seasons of isolation. He's protecting your process from opinions that could poison your growth. He knows that premature exposure can destroy what isn't ready yet. So he keeps you hidden, misunderstood, and sometimes even overlooked until the work inside you is complete. Your process is sacred because it's where your purpose is being shaped. It's the behind the scenes space where the real transformation takes place. The conversations you have with yourself, the battles you fight in silence, the habits you're breaking and rebuilding. These are not things everyone needs to see. When you invite too many voices into your process, you open doors for confusion, judgment, and doubt to enter. Some people won't understand why you're quiet now, why you've stepped back, why you no longer entertain what once amused you. They'll call it distance, pride, or change. But in truth, it's protection. You're protecting the sacred work God is doing in your soul. There's a deep kind of strength that comes from knowing not everything requires an explanation. When you begin to walk in alignment with your purpose, you realize that clarity doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from connecting to God. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your progress. You don't need to prove your transformation with words. Your results will speak when the time is right. When the butterfly is in the cocoon, it doesn't send messages to the caterpillars explaining why it's gone. It just transforms in silence and returns with wings. That's the same principle that applies to your life. The world celebrates visibility, but God values privacy. Some of the most powerful moments of your life will happen in rooms no one sees. The tears you cry in private, the prayers you whisper in the dark, the night you spend questioning and realigning. That's where the real growth takes place. Those moments don't need an audience because they're not for show. They're for strength. Every layer of pain, every test, every lonely season is shaping your spiritual foundation. And the more you protect that process, the stronger your foundation becomes. There are people who can only see you through the lens of your past. They can't understand your new mindset because they're still attached to your old identity. If you keep giving them access, they'll keep trying to pull you back into the version of you that makes them comfortable. That's why boundaries are not selfish. They're necessary. Protecting your process means being wise about who you allow to influence your spirit. You can love people deeply and still recognize they can't walk with you at this stage of your journey. God is doing something unique in you, and not everyone has the spiritual maturity to see it for what it is. You'll notice that as you grow, your circle becomes smaller but stronger. You stop craving constant connection because you start valuing peace over presence. You realize that real support doesn't always need to be seen or spoken. Sometimes it's silent, distant, but genuine. You learn to recognize the difference between people who are curious about your life and those who are committed to seeing you win. And when you find that peace, you no longer feel guilty for protecting it. The truth is, your process is your preparation. Every decision you make in this season is shaping who you're becoming. The discipline you're building, the habits you're forming, the lessons you're learning, they are all sacred tools for your future. If you allow the wrong voices too close, they can distort the clarity God is giving you. That's why the most powerful people are often misunderstood while they're growing. They don't reveal everything. They don't respond to everything, and they don't chase validation. They simply focus on becoming, and when the time is right, the same people who once questioned your silence will be amazed by what you built quietly, because what's done under divine protection always rises with undeniable power. Self-mastery is the real success, the kind of success that can't be taken away by circumstance, by opinion, or by time. It's the quiet strength of a person who has learned to control their emotions, direct their thoughts, and discipline their actions when no one is watching. It's not about what you acquire or how much applause you receive, but about who you become in the process of discipline and alignment. True success isn't measured by what you have, but by what no longer controls you. And that level of freedom comes only through mastering yourself, your mind, your habits, your reactions, your consistency. Most people chase the outer world, money, status, validation, but few stop to realize that all external results are reflections of internal order. You can't build a peaceful life with a chaotic mind. You can't sustain growth with undisciplined habits. You can't attract abundance while constantly entertaining lack in your thinking. Self-mastery means taking responsibility for the unseen parts of your life, the parts only you and God know about. It's how you think when fear creeps in, how you respond when disappointment strikes, how you act when no one is clapping for you. Those are the moments that define who you really are. The hardest battles are the ones fought in silence, inside your own head. Every day you wake up, you're faced with choices that test your discipline to stay consistent, to stay focused, to stay positive when things aren't going your way. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, you win a quiet victory that strengthens your soul. Self-mastery is built one decision at a time. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that's forged through repetition, patience, and awareness. You begin to notice your triggers. You begin to control your impulses. You begin to move with intention instead of reaction. This is what separates temporary success from lasting fulfillment. Temporary success comes from effort. Lasting success comes from mastery. Effort pushes, mastery flows. When you master yourself, you no longer chase peace, you create it. You no longer depend on others for motivation, you generate it. You no longer need to prove your worth, you live from it. It's a different kind of power, one that doesn't need to be loud or visible. It's the quiet authority of a person who knows who they are and what they stand for. When you start practicing self-mastery, you'll notice how differently you respond to life. Things that once disturbed your peace begin to lose their hold on you. You stop reacting emotionally to every challenge because you've developed the strength to pause, reflect, and act from wisdom rather than impulse. You understand that anger wastes energy, that fear clouds judgment, and that impatience delays blessings. So you move differently, slower, calmer, more grounded. You stop needing to control everything and start trusting that what you can control, your attitude, your focus, your actions, is enough. Self-mastery also means holding yourself accountable. It's easy to blame circumstances or people, but mastery requires ownership. You begin to see that your life doesn't change because you wish for it. It changes because you discipline yourself into alignment with what you want. You become your own teacher, your own motivator, your own standard. Every time you feel resistance, you recognize it as a test, not a setback. You start asking better questions. What is this moment trying to teach me? Instead of why is this happening to me? That shift alone moves you from victim to creator. The world often rewards external success, titles, recognition, money, but the universe responds to internal mastery, because when you master yourself, you vibrate differently. You attract peace, opportunity, and the right people naturally. You become magnetic, not because of what you have, but because of the energy you carry. People feel your calm, your confidence, your clarity. They can sense that your happiness isn't conditional, and that's the essence of real power, to be grounded regardless of circumstances, to stay centered when everything around you is shifting. Self-mastery is also about patience. It's knowing that growth takes time, that consistency beats intensity, and that true change happens through daily alignment. You stop trying to rush the process because you trust that God's timing is never wrong. You stop comparing your journey to others because you understand that what's yours can't be taken, and what's not yours can't be forced. You learn to move with rhythm instead of restlessness. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to deepen your control. Every delay becomes a chance to strengthen your discipline. And every test becomes training for the next level. In a world where everyone is trying to control others, the most powerful person is the one who controls themselves. That's the highest form of success. To be so in tune with your purpose and so at peace with your process that nothing external can disturb your internal harmony. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, and it's not instant, but it's permanent. It's the kind of success that doesn't need an audience because it's built on quiet confidence, daily discipline, and unwavering faith in who you're becoming. Divine timing rewards the focus. Every dream, every desire, every goal you hold in your heart has its own appointed moment. Nothing in this universe happens by accident. Everything unfolds with precision, according to a rhythm that's bigger than your understanding. The struggle for most people is not that their dream won't come true, it's that they can't stay patient long enough to see it mature. They plant the seed, but when it doesn't grow instantly, they start to doubt. They start to dig it up. They start to compare their process to someone else's harvest. But divine timing doesn't operate on human impatience. It operates on alignment, preparation, and focus. When you stay focused and faithful through the waiting, God rewards you in ways that feel effortless when they finally arrive. Focus is proof of trust. It's how you show the universe that you're ready, that you believe even when nothing seems to move, when you remain consistent with your effort, even when you see no result. You're telling God, I'm committed to the process, not just the outcome. That's what divine timing requires, unwavering focus. Because if blessings came too early, they would break you. Timing protects you as much as it blesses you. It's not delay, it's divine protection from things you're not yet equipped to handle. Every moment of waiting is preparing you. Every closed door is redirecting you. Every season of silence is strengthening your patience. When you truly understand divine timing, you stop rushing and start refining. You stop chasing the next thing and start mastering what's in front of you. Focus becomes your anchor. While others are running from one distraction to another, you're rooted in discipline, trusting that your consistency will attract the right opportunity when the time is right. You stop measuring progress by speed and start measuring it by alignment, because the truth is, God doesn't bless confusion. He blesses clarity. He doesn't reward the scattered. He rewards the steady. When you're focused, you develop faith without evidence. You learn to move with confidence even when nothing looks certain. That's the space where divine timing works best. When you do your part with focus and allow God to do his part with timing, it's a sacred partnership between your preparation and his orchestration. Every day you stay committed. Every task you complete, every distraction you overcome, you're building momentum in the unseen. You might not see the shift immediately, but energy never goes unnoticed. The universe keeps perfect records of effort. What you sow in silence will always find its season to bloom. Divine timing also teaches humility. It reminds you that you're not the clock, you're the creation. You can't control how fast the river flows, but you can prepare your boat so that when the current comes, you're ready to move with it. Focus is your preparation. It's your way of staying ready so you don't have to get ready. When the opportunity finally arrives, it doesn't come with warning, it comes with momentum. And if you've been disciplined in your waiting season, you'll recognize it instantly. You won't need to scramble. You won't need to beg. You'll just flow because you are already in position. There's something deeply peaceful about trusting divine timing. It removes the anxiety of needing to know when or how things will happen. You stop fighting against time and start flowing with it. You begin to appreciate the pauses, the delays, the detours, because you realize they're not obstacles, they're orchestration. Every delay carries a lesson. Every setback carries refinement. Every quiet season carries purpose. The world rushes to be seen, but divine timing hides you until the light won't burn you. That's why some blessings take longer, not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared for permanence. The people who succeed in the divine rhythm are not the ones who rush. They're the ones who remain. They keep showing up, keep building, keep believing. No matter how long it takes, their focus becomes their form of worship. It's how they communicate their faith without words. They understand that while others may grow faster, their growth will last longer because it's built in alignment with the universe's design. They're not interested in temporary recognition. They're invested in timeless impact.